Welcome to Vibrational Revelations. My name is Elena.
My name is Alejandro.
Thank you so much for being a part of our YouTube Vibrational Revelations community. For those of you that are brand new, thank you so much for being here. We invite you to subscribe, to like, share, and comment. We value and welcome all of your comments. For those of you that are not familiar with the work that we do, Alejandro and I have been testing vibrational frequencies and levels of consciousness for the last 6+ years. We use scalar wave technology, and through this technology, we're able to pinpoint what is at the very root of whether we are revealing a political figure, historic figure, businesses, organizations, sacred sites, you name it. We are there to reveal this information for all of you. If you're curious to see all of the things that we've revealed and join us on monthly live discussions, please join Vibrational Revelations membership community. This is where we have over 200 recorded episodes from the last 5+ years, plus every month we go live. This is for $111 a year, which is 65% off from the regular price of $333 a year. As a member, you receive 25% off of your own personalized vibrational frequency analysis. This is something that I'm sure you'll find absolutely invaluable to get to the root of how do you show up in the world and what are some of your blind spots. There's 36 categories, and you receive this incredible report looking in depth into all the different aspects of yourself, as well as 25% off on all of the digital products that we have on our website. Now, in today's discussion, we're going to reveal to you vibrational frequency and levels of consciousness of two key figures in US politics. For those of you that follow US politics, I know over the years, many of you have reached out and asked about revealing Marjorie Taylor Greene. So we're going to reveal her today, as well as a brand new candidate in New York City. He just won the primaries for the mayor, and his name is Zohran
Mamdani.
Is it Mama?
Mamdani.
No.
M-A-M.
Mama. Okay.
Mama.
No, how do you say it?
What do you?
Mamdani. I just said
Mamdani.
Mamdani. It's Mamdani.
That's what I thought I said.
Okay.
But,
this is what happens.
my accent gets me in trouble often.
Aye.
That's why I tend to stay quiet.
That's okay. We all have accents.
I only speak when it is extremely necessary. Like today, perhaps.
Right. Well, and also in the membership, lots of discussions that we hold where Alejandro shares a lot of his thoughts and views. So let me read to you just a little bit, for those of you that are not familiar, who Marjorie Taylor Greene is, before we dive into her vibrational frequencies. All right, she's a U.S. representative from Georgia, 14th District since 2021. She's Republican and also known for her combative far-right stances. She's a former small business owner, vocal Trump supporter who challenged 2020 election outcome. She also was quite known for amplifying some of the conspiracy theories, including QAnon, which, by the way, Alejandro and I have done a revelation on QAnon. If you are curious, you're welcome to join the membership and watch that episode. It was at one point on YouTube. We had to take it down. Pizzagate, Jewish space lasers. Apparently, she claimed that all these wildfires are caused by Jewish space lasers, so she's not helping the narrative.
In a way, she has something. She's onto something there, because half of it, of that statement, is true, which are
the space lasers,
yes,
yes, which we've done an episode on that. She was briefly removed from congressional committee assignments in 2021 due to her rhetoric. And later, of course, she regained the role. She is a supportive Christian nationalist. She has called in the past for an execution of political opponents and opposed lockdowns and vaccine mandates.
Execution.
Who says that in
Wow,
America? So that's brief, just small brief description. I'm sure there's a lot more that you can investigate, research for yourself on Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I'm going to give you her numbers in a minute. Let's see where they're at. Here, I think this is it. Let me just see. Yes. All right, so we're using the scale, vibrational frequencies of awakening scale. Again, those of you that are not familiar with the scale, please make sure that you download using the link below. The scale goes from 1 to 1,000. Anything below 200 is what we call the victim consciousness. Then 200 to 499 is activation consciousness. Then it's inspiration consciousness from 500 to 699. And then 700 to 999 is illumination consciousness. The frequency of 1000 is the frequency of the divine that resides within everyone.
Inner essence.
The inner divine essence. That's right. So there are some exclusions to the rules where when a person is born at a low frequency, they incarnate at a low frequency and they embody the frequency. They're not part of this victim consciousness. They're actually what we used to call the shadow players, or we reference them now as the great awakeners, or the shadow awakeners, you can say. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, she incarnated at the frequency of 55. She was born at the frequency of 55, and her overall frequency is 55. Health. She views the health aspect through the lens of 125. Connection to mind is 55. Connection to body is 125. And connection to soul is 55. Finances, yeah.
So
Go ahead.
the unfulfilled desire in the health aspect and body connection as well. You mentioned earlier that she was
Opponent, or she was against, right, the lockdowns and the vaccines. So that also would make sense, right? Somebody that is just wanting to see change.
But also was
injustice.
She owned a gym.
Oh yeah, she did. I didn't read that, but she was an owner of CrossFit, a co-owner of CrossFit gym. So that would make sense too.
Could be, right?
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, finances she views through the lens of 55. Creativity, 125. So again, this creating from a place of never enough. Relationships, 55. Again, the 55 has to do with the frequency of manipulation. Relationship to self is 55, and relationship to others is also 55.
And I would say the frequency of manipulation, especially in her case, because she incarnated at the frequency of 55 and was born at the frequency of 55 and is currently at the same frequency, right?
Exactly. Philanthropy, we always say philanthropy is all about the art of sharing and giving. Overall frequency is 55. So again, shares through the lens, you can say, of manipulation. Service to self is 55, and service to others is also 55. Personal growth is 125. So again, this feeling that it's never enough. Clairaudience. Oh no, intuition now, right? So intuition is also 55. So there's this element of disassociation, disconnection, and perhaps it has to do with her soul connection is also at 55.
Mhm.
Under the aspect of intuition, there's 4 different aspects we measure. Clairaudience is 55, clairsentience 55, Clairvoyance is 55, and claircognizance is also 55. And again, remember, these are lenses through which each individual processes the information. So in her case, she incarnated at the frequency of 55, born and embodies it. So there's really not much resistance in her case, because this is considered normal for her.
That is
She's comfortable in
her known territory.
her known
And
territory.
it is a element.
Mhm.
And I would say that in this case, and in most, if not all, the great awakeners, or used to be called shadow players, they are at a mastery level. So they come to this reality to experience that frequency, but to master it.
Mhm.
So that when they're disconnected emotionally, they can navigate through it so
With more ease
confidently
and flow.
and with very strong conviction of what they believe in, that it is very difficult to discern what their uh, agenda is if we don't pay attention. But if you pay attention and you tune in, that's when things are being said, how she expresses herself, what she's saying, when she's saying it, and why she's saying it, and who she's saying it to. Then, with that in mind, it will be easier to detect which frequency or level of consciousness she's operating from.
Yes. So now, under the aspect of intelligence, the IQ is 175, which is this feeling of, I know the information and that's all there is to know. EQ, emotional intelligence, is 55. So she tends to operate more on the intellect versus the emotional intelligence, which we always talk about how emotional intelligence is far superior than the intellect. Social quotient SQ is 200. So she goes with this approach in social settings, you could say is very heroic, courageous. So she's most likely is very combative. It can seem like she's combative.
Like a warrior.
And AQ, adversity quotient, when she's being challenged, it's a frequency of 55. Now, the next are going to be percentages. So in the joy, because she is the great awakener, and she doesn't have much contrast from incarnation point to where she's today. She enjoys her role 95% of the time. She's in the ego 98%. Out of that, she's 100% in the superior ego. And we talk about inferior and superior ego. When somebody's in the inferior ego, they feel like they're not good enough. Whatever they do will never be good enough. So tend to push themselves to do more work, or perhaps be afraid and shut themselves down from even trying. Versus a superior ego is somebody who feels they know everything, there is nothing to learn, they're it. In the now.
We find that very often in Great Awakenings.
Yes.
Actually.
In the now is 96%. This is also unique quality to somebody who is the great awakener, that they're very much present and very much enjoy their role. Integrity in Marjorie Taylor Greene is 94%. Integrity to herself is 100%. And integrity to others, 90%. Those numbers are also high. So it means that pay attention to what she says, because she actually means it.
That's to people's benefit. At least you know where she stands, and whatever she shares, says she means. She means what she says.
Yes. Self-awareness is 97%. Clarity, 100%. So she's very clear. Alignment with divine purpose is 98%. So it means she's here to play this role.
So when she said that that politician
To be executed? They should be
Yeah,
executed, she meant it.
executed, should be executed.
Well, who
That's what I
knows? She
said.
probably just blurred stuff out too, you know? Alignment with personal purpose in her case is 100%. Compassion is 86%. Compassion to others, 84%. Empathy, 87%. And her energy purity is 100%. That means she embodies the 55 frequency fully. So this is an invitation, when we reveal people to you who we call the great awakeners, and you're not in that category like most people, it's an invitation for you to really step into your own light, into your own power, and own what you are here to be, to do, to share with the world.
I haven't paid much attention
I haven't
to
either.
her actually, but one thing is we have found to be a pattern for the great awakeners and shadow players is that they tend to, well, one, we know that she means what she says, and two, is that they use part fact and part
Truth.
hidden agenda.
Hmm.
And they mix it in a
Right.
way and they share it with such a confidence, so much conviction that it is believable easily if you don't pay attention to what she's
Hmm.
saying, if you're not following the thread, right? And be able to pinpoint the patterns. So it is a level of mastery. And we all want to achieve that level of mastery. But for most, it will be at higher frequencies, higher levels of consciousness.
Yes.
Now, we go into Zohran Mamdani.
Mamdani. That's it. Please,
Mamdani.
I think anywhere you turn on, whether you are on social media, television, which we don't have television, but everywhere, you see his pictures everywhere. He is basically the talk of,
Of the town.
yeah, big time political, US discussion.
Yes, he was born on October 18th, 1991. And he was born in Uganda, actually. Immigrated to New York City at the age of 7. Naturalized US citizen, raised in Queens, New York. He graduated from Bronx High School. It's actually Bronx High School of Science, and also Africana Studies degree from Bowdoin. Elected in 2020 to represent Queens, based New York State, Assembly District 36, member of Democratic Party and Democratic Socialists of America.
So we have two extremes today. We have far right, and now we're going into far left.
Yes. So this is actually a Democratic Socialists of America platform. Includes tenant organizing, fare free transit pilots, debt free for taxi drivers, fighting pollution, and is currently the presumptive Democratic nominee for New York City mayor.
He won the primaries, and the election is going to be in November.
And if he wins, he will become the first Muslim mayor ever in the history of the United States. Maybe at least New York. I'm not sure about the whole country, at least in New York. And he embraces his heritage, blending Urdu cultural elements with activist branding, champion of affordable housing, child care, public transport reform, and has an activist background, which includes hunger strike tactics and grassroots organizing, pushing progressive reforms.
Okay.
Organizing and pushing progressive reforms, actually. Interesting. I've seen, came across two of small
Videos. I mean,
videos.
it's impossible not to not see it if you live in the United States, because I mean, there's just his videos, his pictures are everywhere. Like, okay, we have to find out, what is the frequency of this guy?
Without a doubt, he has a pretty good PR team.
Mm.
So Zohran's overall frequency is 125. He incarnated at the frequency of 200, which is the heroism, or the bridge to where from
Activation.
of activation. Yes, the activation consciousness. And he was born at the frequency of 55, which is detachment.
So he is a character, sorry to interrupt, that didn't come here as the Great Awakener or the Shadow Player, unlike Marjorie Taylor Greene. So this is interesting dynamic, although he is playing in the shadow field at the moment.
Exactly. And in his case, he's definitely experiencing contrast because his known territory in this realm and this reality is 200. And he's currently at the frequency of 125.
Mm.
So that will impact in the joys of how much he's enjoying the role that he's playing.
Mhm.
And we will get to that soon. When it comes to health, the aspect of health is 100. The worry emotion is the predominant emotion when it comes to anything related to the aspect of health. Under connection to mind is 200. Connection to body, 100.
Mm.
Connection to soul, 100. Finance, 125, which is the unfulfilled desire. It's never enough. Creativity, 200. Aspect of relationships, 55.
So it's manipulative tendencies under relationships.
Exactly. Because that is the dominant emotion is detachment, disconnected from his emotions. So he has created this shield of protection to avoid experiencing perhaps worry or fear, that
Or discomfort.
that just exactly more discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
So he has numbed himself in a way. Relationships to himself, with himself, is 55 as well. And relationships with other people is 55. So it will be very difficult to trigger his emotions when it comes to the aspect of relationships, unless he sees it as an opportunity
To
to
manipulate.
manipulate. Then he will
Manipulate the audience.
be a very good actor. Yes. Under philanthropy, the act of sharing and giving is 125. Again, the unfulfilled desire. Service to self, 125, and service to others or with others is also 125.
Mm.
Personal growth.
And just to interrupt you, I just thought this is interesting because his finances at 125 and service to self and others is 125. And he wants to do a lot of financial reforms in New York City. So somehow it's linked to this. And I feel like it will never be enough. Whatever he begins to implement, if he wins and becomes a mayor, it's going to be a mission impossible because he will never be satisfied with whatever unfolds.
It's like some are never satisfied with making money per se,
Mm-hmm.
and others are never satisfied from stopping others from making money. Either or is just this unfulfilled desire
Mm-hmm.
that it is the ego that is never has enough food for the ego.
Yes.
We can put it that way. Personal growth again is 175. That is the arrogance, vanity, to where needs a lot of validation, or is doing it for the sake of validation.
Or perhaps I would say it's a cloak, because personal growth could be used in so many. It could be used to really grow yourself, or it can be used as a cloak to make yourself seem like you are invested in your personal growth, when in reality, the 175 reveals that you're seeking for external validation when personal growth is an inside job.
Very well put. And there's a lot of resistance there, of course, from the level of 175 all the way to 1000. Now we go into intuition. Intuition is 100. And all the aspects under intuition are at 100. Clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance, and claircognizance, 100. So that means that all the numbers that we're sharing represent the filters that he is activating when he processes the information that he perceives. Or in this case, when it comes to intuition, when he is receiving these intuitive insights, the filter of 100 gets activated, and that's where and how he expresses and shares the information from that place, from that level of resistance.
And one thing I want to say is, you see these patterns emerge in what we're sharing, is our mind, or I would say our belief system, shapes our reality. It is what is placed as a filter through which information flows, because 1000 frequency flows through every human being. But it is the filters that get activated. So it means it's really, really important for you to look into where do your belief systems come from. A lot of times they come from childhood, of course, trauma, childhood environment, whether it's your parents, your school, churches you go to, religious institutions, and then, of course, universities, schools that indoctrinate you also becomes part of your core value system, core belief system. And this is what will dictate your reality. So the moment you break free from your belief systems is the moment that you can change your vibrational frequency.
Yes, especially those belief systems that are limiting you, that are activating resistance, discomfort, dissonance, contrast. But the contrast is good because it sets up an opportunity for us to co-create the reality that we desire. But at the same time, we have to pay attention to those filters that get activated to understand our better, gain a deeper understanding of our thinking process and how we perceive reality, and how is it that we get from perception to perspective, right? So that will help us to release resistance, shift away our focus toward things that feel better, that inspire you more, and that help you stay in the joy more often for a longer period of time. And that, as a consequence of that, of detaching from the limiting beliefs, obliterating the limiting beliefs, one begins to experience more freedom. And that freedom gives you the serves as a catalyst for you to pay more attention to intuitive insights and be more present in your life.
I'd say there's many who are motivated and inspired by limiting beliefs as well,
Yes, especially the great awakeners. For them, it's totally different, because as Elena
trauma
pointed
can
out,
become an
they're
inspiration.
not experiencing resistance the same way we experience resistance, the same way you're experiencing it. They actually, resistance fuels them.
Mm-hmm.
It's food for them. Yes, so it's a totally different mindset. Now we go into intelligence aspects. IQ is 250, the objectivity. She's comfortable, he's comfortable with information in general, comfortable with he has learned up to
Mm-hmm.
this point. EQ, emotional quotient, is 175. That is the emotion of vanity, arrogance, and always seeking validation, but at the same time showing off as if he's has it all under control. You know, imagine when you're going through major chaos at 100, and then you decide, okay, this is enough of worrying so much, enough of experiencing so much fear. I know there's something more. And there's a higher frequency. And then he goes into the 125, which is the unfulfilled desire, and it gets to a point to where no, there's more. So arrives at 175, feeling, okay, now I've been through all of that, and now I think I know enough, and I think I know it all. No one can teach me anything. But that is still a place to where one is bathing in limited beliefs.
It's like house of cards or a house of made out of sand,
Mhm.
quicksand.
Yes. When it comes to the SQ or social quotient is 500. So he, without a doubt, haven't watched him perform, but without a doubt, he's very comfortable in social settings and being on stage. So he exudes this magnetic presence that people, without a doubt, many, I'm sure, that's
Drawn to him.
more than likely the reason why everyone is sharing his information is that they're drawn to this magnetic presence. And often, if we don't pay enough attention, we confuse it thinking that that is this person's overall vibrational frequency. That is the filter that they activate to process all sorts of informations in relation to all other aspects. But in this case, it's clear that that's not the case. This is his highest vibrational frequency filter, and it is under the social quotient, which plays a very good hand when it comes to politics, obviously. Now, with the adversity quotient or AQ is 55. So being faced with major challenges and adversity tends to turn this shield of protection on and dissociate, disconnect to protect himself from having to experience all the other emotions, all the other types of resistance. Now we go into percentages from 1 up to 100%. And indie joy, this is how much Zohran is enjoying the role that he's playing in this reality, and it is at 58%. And it is, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of the areas or categories that will reflect the contrast that he's experiencing because he incarnated at the frequency of 200 and he's currently operating from the level of consciousness of 125. So there's a major contrast there, and that it is impacting
His joy.
he's enjoying the role that he's playing at 58% out of 100.
So not that much.
In the ego is 94%. And out of that is 96% is in the inferior version of the ego, which is combined with the 125 frequency, overall frequency, and other 125s throughout his chart. That is a recipe for nothing is enough, is never enough, whatever that is that he's chasing. in the now, how much time he is stays in the present moment or disconnected from what he has already experienced and what he thinks he might experience in the near future is 63%. Integrity, 62% overall integrity. Integrity to self, 84%, and integrity to others or with others is 55%. We have found the integrity to others or with others at 55% to be a very common denominator or a pattern between within the political world of politicians.
But also his sacrifices in his case also integrity to himself is low. So it means he sacrifices his own core values. And that is a big thing to keep in mind. But it's also because he is not at his incarnation frequency. So I would say he's quite young. So there's a lot of growth potential in his case to embody the light,
If that's
if that's the path he chooses, because right now that's not the path. But perhaps it's part of his awakening journey.
That could be, yes. We don't know, but we can
hope for the best.
Yes, if that's what he wants to experience. We all have free will, and it's a matter of exercising your free will. Now, self-awareness is 78%. Clarity, 89%. And alignment with divine purpose is 68%. And the alignment with divine purpose is, how well you're playing the role that you decided to play before you incarnated, before you dropped into this reality. You made this decision from a higher perspective.
Your soul's mission, your soul's blueprint, how aligned you are with that.
And that is linked directly with how much you're enjoying the role that you're playing, to your joy, yes? And is a reflection as well of in his case, of the contrast between his incarnation at 200 and his overall frequency at 125. And also the integrity. He's not even fully loyal and faithful to his core values and beliefs. And what he feels as true, it doesn't have to be Elena's truth or my truth or your truth. Now, when it comes to alignment with personal purpose, it's a little different. It's at 90%. This means that he's paying more attention to the ego self, the persona self, to what he wants to accomplish and experience or has accomplished and is experiencing related to his persona self, his sense of fulfillment. But he's deviating away from what the soul is guiding him to do. And it's very difficult to pay attention to what the messages of the soul when you are activating the filter of 100 in the aspect of intuition. Extremely difficult. Now, when it comes to compassion, it's 90%. Compassion to others or with others is 89%. This is when there's an opportunity to exercise your compassionate self or ingredient or virtue. It gets activated at that percentage. Empathy is 92%. Now, energy purity, this, among other numbers, got our attention, is at 66%. And the energy purity is an indicator as of how much the person is embodying the current level of consciousness they are experiencing. In his case, it's the 125, the unfulfilled desire. And at 66%, not only that he's not embodying that to the fullest, obviously, because he's far away from the 100% mark, but we can say attest, or share with you with confidence based on thousands of people of human fields, energy fields that we have assessed, that we have tested, analyzed, that he is having, or he has negative influences in his biofield, interferences. It could be not only EMF, the major impact of the more than likely negative entities and negative influences. And could be also the use of some sort of substance. That is very possible. Now, with the connection to soul connection at 100 and body connection at 100, and having that 66% in the energy purity, often we have found that the person more than likely is under using some sort of substance. We don't know what the case might be, but it's definitely impacting his field.
And that's something we actually recommend. If you receive your report, 36-page report, and your energy purity is below 90%, we absolutely encourage you to test your energy field to make sure that you don't have any interference with your soul gate. It could be coming also from microbiome. You can have color light interferences, entity attachments. All of it can be tested, and it can be supported using scalar wave technology after that, sending you sessions to clear those things up.
Yes, and we call that energy flow analysis, by the way.
Yeah.
And it is, I mean, we check our field often. We interact with so many people, and we're
This is a must, I think, for
here
everyone.
and about. It is, yes, it is very helpful because you clear your field, and then it's sort of like a starting with you flip the page, and now it's on you to make the necessary adjustments to maintain that level of clarity. And from that point, it just becomes easier to discern what is in alignment and what is not, because when your clarity is high, it's easier to discern.
Yes. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.